Hey everybody, today I'm going to be breaking down how I did the music for the main theme of the video game Beat Vortex by Glory Through Gaming Productions. I have the whole project file laid out here, and I'm just going to go through it step by step. The process, the inspiration, the effects, all of that. So it's arranged here, but I'm going to go pattern by pattern. Now usually when I get any kind of work and I'm doing music for a game or a film, whatever it is, I have some kind of prompt or reference to go back to and build upon. But for this, that wasn't the case. The creator of this game and I met at a video game playtesting event, so all I knew of this game and the ideas and visions that we kind of shared for how it would sound, or how the main theme would sound, is that we wanted it to be something ear-catching, energetic, electric, but nothing too crazy going on. Something that would fit, the vibe of what the game is, which is you are torpedoing down a tunnel that is shaped as the waveform of whatever track is applied. Whatever level you're on. So I started off with a serum bass line here. I just have a ton of serum banks.
I just have a ton of serum banks.
Huh?
I have a ton of serum banks.
Something electric but not too distorted, and this is what it sounds like. This is the BASE bass and the BASS bass of the song. As you can see, it's something that's not super complicated, something quick, simple, and catchy that could get stuck in your head, but nothing too simple like a dun. I didn't want something that just drones on in the background, something that you could get sick of. This is a good bass line for the track, both kinds of bass lines. After that, what I wanted to focus on was the drums. I kind of knocked those out all at once. I knew that this was going to be a drum and bass kind of track, not drum and bass in the traditional sense, but patterns inspired by those kinds of drum patterns, maybe with more electric sounding drums. This was the base of what I had without the counter snares and the claps at the end. As you can see, I kind of wanted a more unorthodox pattern of where the kicks and the snares hit in relation to each other. I didn't do like. It sounds a little bit messy, a little bit staggered, but that's the point. What I like doing with my hats, this is a trick that I kind of got with time. My open hats and my closed hats and my crash, I like to make them feel like they're all intertwined with one another, like they're breathing, like they're making the beat breathe, helping it breathe. It really makes it come to life. It's almost like they're talking. It's like it could be a pattern of its own, alone, without any other drums. Very fun to work with that way. Next, and I almost never do this. As a producer and as a composer, I almost always put my melodies and my main instruments before my bass and before my drums, but I felt like this was something that called for a different workflow, a different process. So I just made a very basic chord pattern. Again, something to pair up well, create a nice duo with my bass pattern. As you can see, I just have a D sharp minor chord right here. It drags until midway through the fourth bar, and then I just have some corresponding chords. Creates a little bit of movement until it settles back again with this same extended D sharp minor chord. So this is what that sounds like. Right here is where I knew the foundation of the track was really laid. It was really set, and from here it's smooth sailing, very easy to build off of. I have a lot of fun adding on to tracks that could already be finished by themselves if the producer or the composer were to go for just something very simple. So adding layers from here with this as my foundation. With that as my foundation, is something I could just take from there. You might notice right here, there's a transition. I have my same philosophy with the drums. I like to just give them a life of their own. I thought, what would a transition sound like for something that's already this high energy? I wanted to cluster the hats a little bit more, and then have the kick drum lead up almost in replacement of what would be a tom in a slightly different sounding track. And then higher pitched percussion hitting it once with high decay on this clap, which I'll get to later, which kind of serves as a send off into the next section of the track, like a there you go. So now we get into the layers. I accidentally kind of spoiled it right there. Staying consistent with the poppy, energetic sound that the whole track had. I thought a steel drum again from Serum would be a nice place to go to. Just a little pluck, something to fill in the space when the synth chord in the background gets stagnant. Not stagnant, but doesn't change and sits in the background. This kind of takes over and adds as a secondary. You might not call it a steel drum, you could call it a key, you could call it a pluck. This right here is a pop staple. This sound right here and adjacent sounds to it have been used in a million songs. I'm sure this reminds you of something right off the bat. I just thought it was the perfect layer. A tune that is somewhat similar to the bells or key or pluck or whatever you want to call it that I just previously shown you. This right here I felt like was the perfect complement to that. So now as you can see, this fills in kind of the high mids. These bells kind of fill in the mid section. As you can see on the little mini EQ up here. The bass obviously fills in the lows and the subs. And this synth right here, just making it sound full. The whole track would not sound full without this synth. It's the carrier, it's the main melody. So everything I just showed you goes on for about 50 seconds. And we get into not a B section, but a bit of a switch up where the drums stay the same outside of some of the counter snares being taken out. And I throw in a bit of a switch up. The bass pattern stays the same. The plugin that I use to make the bass stays the same, but I changed the sound up a little bit. It's very subtle. They're somewhat similar sounds. It might not even be something you catch when you hear it the first time, if you were listening to this track for the first time, but it's just enough to subconsciously change the vibe of the track. So I'll show you this transition without spoiling the other two plugins that were used, the other two sounds that were used as well in this section. It's a bit less harsh, as you can see. Another instrument that I use for this section is this synth from Flex. This is something that covers the frequency of, and I guess you could say replaces the Vox noise that I was using from Serum before. And then I felt like a pluck to make it just, I mean, this genre of sound right here, this kind of pluck is called cubic math, probably because it sounds like Geometry Dash. It's an EDM staple. It's a video game staple. This specific vibe. You'll know what I mean when I play it. I thought it'd be a nice detail right here to throw in some rolls. Pluck rolls are something that I don't see utilized very often, but I thought it would be a cool idea, especially when suddenly pitching up the melody right here creates a nice little stutter effect. And I think overall, all of these sounds, I was looking for a mix of sounds that would complement each other in not only in headspace and the frequency spectrum, but also in the vibe that I was aiming to create. And I wanted to find a middle ground between being catchy, not being too simple, and not being super complex. So in context, again, here's what all of that would sound like. And then here, I take a little bit of a different route. I take away this growling synth in the background, and I throw in cellos. This is the transition to a transition of a different section of this track. This is kind of setting up what comes next. As you can see right here, I took away all of the drums in the arrangement. All that's left is the Vox sound that I used from before to a very electric sound to contrast the only real acoustic sound in this entire track, the cellos that I'm using, and I use a simple 4-step kick pattern just to bring in this new section. As you can see, the cellos are the exact same pattern as the original synth chords that I started off with. And this is something that you normally would not do, but I took a creative liberty. I layered both of the bass sounds that I had, as well as bringing back this synth to create tension, noise, a bit of chaos. And as you can see, this drum roll comes back as the track is supposed to loop back into itself, and that's where it ends. You might notice the kicks clipping pretty heavily into the bass right here. That is to kind of shake you up, and then it loops right back into just drum and bass, something simple. It's a refresher. It feels like you're right back at home. Oh, what happened? Oh, what happened? Oh, what happened? I feel like this B section holds a lot of necessity because I think it would get a little bit stagnant. It would get a little bit boring if I were to just let these same drums repeat into each other over and over and over again. There's only so many melodic switch ups and combinations I can do. Introducing the cello, introducing a more acoustic, natural instrument into a mix of so many electronic instruments, and then creating a bit of tension over near the end of this B section is something that was necessary for me to tie it all together. Just real quick, going over my effects chain, going over some of the effects that I used. I throw some light reverb on my hats. For some reason, this hat had a strange amount of low end. I wanted to boost the highs. There wasn't really anything all the way in this treble section covering the track, so I wanted to get a little spider sound, get a little noise in that area. I always put some reverb on my hats. This is a great plugin. This is a very underrated plugin. Wider. It's a stereo separator. My track ordering might look a bit messy. Honestly, what I do, this has been really good for experimentation and sound design, is if I want, like for example, I started off with this dry crash, no effects on it. I set it to track 3 after I'd already, I guess there's nothing on slot 2 meant for there to be, or maybe I thought there was going to be at one point. On mixer track 3, to add to my crash, I threw in this Valhalla Supermassive reverb setting. I love Valhalla plugins. They're great for pretty much all of your reverb and delay needs. And wider. This is something I don't see much. This is a very underrated stereo separation plugin. I could just use the FL Studio stock Fruity separation plugin, which is very good as well, but this has just been my go-to. That's just what it is. So that's with the reverb and the stereo separation effects applied, and I kind of wanted something similar for the cello. So instead of making a new track or putting these two effects on a bus in the first place, I just turned this to track 3 as well. And if there's something that I want to put on the cellos later on that I don't want to put in the crash, I'll just set it to the next available track and save the mixer track state and throw it from wherever that's saved, right from my downloads, throw that mixer preset into the new channel. It's really no hassle, and that kind of thing has been, it began out of laziness, but it's evolved into a pretty good sound design method because I end up getting multiple instruments with settings that normally would not be there unless I kind of took that risk. So I also have a Valhalla Supermassive and a wider, as well as 2 EQs to boost the highs and take out the lows, hard take out the lows on the aforementioned Vox, Bell, and Synth to create space. I know a lot of people will say to not touch the mix, just turn this mix all the way up in the actual plugin, in the actual insert, and then turn down the mix level on the send in the mixer. That's something that sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I experiment with it, I try everything, and for this I thought it sounded better if all of the melodies just had a lot of space, because sometimes what will happen when you do that is it'll become too muddy, just all of the reverb convolutes and makes the whole track sound like it's just a bunch of reverb flowing into each other. But with this, I felt like it was okay. I felt like it wasn't something that needed to be worried about. And my roommate wants to make an appearance in the background.
I don't have a choice.
I know. It's not something I actually get upset about.
It's 3:30 in the morning and I'm trying to get a snack.
Yeah, it's 3:30 in the morning and he's trying to get a snack. So I'll play out what the track sounds like as a whole, and the link to Beat Vortex will be in the description. Thank you to Glory for Gaming for making me a part of this game. It's an enjoyable game. I play tested it. Reminds you of something that would have came out in the PS2 era, and there are a lot of other tracks to choose from in this game. I just made the main theme and I think one other one. I'm not sure if you put it in yet. There's a lot of other tracks to choose from. You can even put your own tracks in that game and use them as waveform tonals in your own levels. I hope if you're a producer, you got something out of this. If you're not, I hope you still got something out of this and you enjoyed the video in the first place. And yeah, this is something I'm going to be doing a lot more. I haven't made a tutorial in, I don't even know how long. I made a video of me just talking for like 20 minutes straight a few months ago or like a year ago. Last time I did a tutorial, since the last time it's been a tutorial, my voice changed a lot, my circumstances changed a lot, and my goals changed a lot. So this is something I'm going to be experimenting with more. And yeah, I just want to share things that I've been working on, things that I worked on in the past, methods that I use, anything along those lines. So thank you for sticking around until the end of the video. Again, the game will be in the description. All of my links will be in the description, and I will talk at you again another time.